KSJE and the Farmington Public Library present Cuentos Hahne and Tales.
Hello, my name is Melanie Leeson, and I work at the Farmington Public Library. Today, I am going to be reading several stories today. You won't be able to see it on the radio, but the cover of each of my books today is blue. And all of the books that I am going to be reading is available for checkout at the Farmington Public Library. The first book I'm going to read is called My Cold Went on Vacation by Molly Rausch and Nora Krug. On Wednesday, my nose was running. On Thursday, my throat was hurting. My mother gave me tea with honey. On Friday, my forehead was burning and I couldn't go to school. On Saturday, my mother didn't let me go outside to play. But today is Sunday and I feel fine. My cold is all gone. I wonder where it went. Last summer, it visited my aunt in Iowa. She fed it chicken soup and kept it in bed with a book. Before that, it stayed with my grandma in Las Vegas. She gave it lots of orange juice and took it out with her to play poker. Before that, it spent a night at my uncle's apartment. He didn't even notice. My mom says I caught it on the school bus, but I don't remember catching anything. I'd like to know where it went and when it's going to come back again. Did my cold go on vacation? Is it on a train to Canada? Is it climbing mountains in the Alps? Or backpacking through Peru? Flying over the Sahara? Sailing the southern seas? Walking around in Tokyo? Looking for penguins in Antarctica? Maybe it's just stuck at the airport. My dad says that happens all the time. It must get tired of always being on the run, but it does get to see a lot of people and places. On Monday morning, I discovered that this time my cold didn't go very far away at all. Just across the hall to my sister's room. The end. The next book I'm going to read is called Uni, the Unicorn, and the Dream Come True. And this book is by Amy Krouse Rosenthal. It had been raining and raining and raining in the land of unicorns, which meant there hadn't been any sunshine for what seemed like forever, which meant that there hadn't been any rainbows for what seemed like forever, which meant there hadn't been any magic for what seemed like forever. Because remember, there are only 3 ways unicorns can get their strength and magic: from the golden sun, from magnificent sunshine, and the sparkle of believing. Luckily, there was a bright ray of hope from the one unicorn who believed that little girls were real. And this is why Uni, and only Uni, was as strong and magical as ever. But Uni was very concerned about the other unicorns. Meanwhile, somewhere far away, but not that far away, a little girl watched the rain from her window. Somehow, she knew she was desperately needed in the land of unicorns. She was smart that way. The more it poured, the more certain she was. The harder it rained, the harder Uni believed. The longer it stormed, the more they longed to finally be together. All of a sudden, they both heard thunder. Clap! Clap! They both saw lightning. Zap! Zap! They closed their eyes tight and wished the same wish with all their might. Then everything went white and quiet. "It's really you!" the little girl shouted. "You're really real!" Though Uni had never once doubted. They could have laughed and hugged for hours, but there was no time to waste. They ran quickly through the meadow. They stopped to help some forest creatures in need, and together they lifted spirits. At last they discovered the unicorns huddled under a large tree. And the unicorns discovered what Uni had known all along. It's true. You knew. Little girls are real. Believing and befriending, each and every unicorn became, once again, sparkly, strong, and magical. As for the endless rain, Uni alone hadn't been able to wish it away. But together, could the unicorns make such a wish come true? Could they ever? After what seemed like forever, the rain stopped, the clouds parted, and the golden sun appeared. Uni and the little girl twirled and twirled. What they didn't know, but would marvel at soon enough, was that the sun would bring not one, but two extra magnificent rainbows. And since rainbows are the bridge between here and there, a double rainbow meant that not only could the little girl return home, but there was place for one more. And of course, you know who she chose. Friends, to finally meet Uni the unicorn. The end. The next book is called Duck Gets a Job by Sunny Ross. This is Duck. Duck wanted a job. All Duck's friends had jobs in the city, and they never stopped talking about them. So Duck looked at the ads for city jobs. They seemed boring, but he applied anyway, and he got an interview. He couldn't decide what to wear to the job interview. He didn't want to make a bad first impression. He opted for the professional look. Next, Duck had to decide how to get there. Flying would make him tired and sweaty, but public transportation is tricky for ducks. He chose to walk. He got lost. When Duck finally arrived in the city, he had to take a taxi so he wouldn't be late. In the taxi, he gave himself a pep talk. Calm down. Be cool. Be yourself. Relax. In the interview, Duck wasn't cool, professional, or relaxed. He was very nervous. But he got the job. Duck soon realized that spreadsheets full of facts and figures did not interest him at all, though he did have a nice nap. Before he left that night, Duck quit. He had always wanted to be an artist, so Duck found an ad for a job that better suited his interests. For his interview, he dressed in his natural look and put samples of his best work in a portfolio. He checked his route to make sure he didn't get lost, and he left plenty of time so he wouldn't be late. He showed his work and he wasn't nervous at all. He felt confident because he was being himself. Duck got the job. He was very happy. Duck loved his new job. There were no spreadsheets. Duck was happy that he had decided to follow his dreams. That was Duck Gets a Job. The next book is called Another Day in the Milky Way by David Milgrim. The other day, I woke up on the wrong planet. I had no idea where I was or how I got there. It happens to me every once in a while. I wasn't about to go to some strange school on some strange planet, but I didn't want to cause a fuss, so I played along until I could figure out what to do. I tried to remember how I got home the other times, but the harder I tried, the more I forgot. I asked for help, but everyone was too busy. I started searching for a space transporter, or maybe a secret passage, or even just a rocket. All I could find was a raggedy-looking horse named Buck. At least he said he could get me home. Before we had gone a mile, Buck got a cramp, and I ended up carrying him. Then the sidewalk ended. It turned out Buck wasn't a horse at all. He was a donkey in a costume. His real name was Tulip. Tulip admitted that he, in fact, had never even heard of Earth and didn't know how to get there. I can't remember what happened next, but I might have yelled a little bit. Tulip called some friends. They came, and I started to feel a little better. None of them were real horses, but they all had lots of advice, and pretty soon I was more confused than ever. I didn't know what to do. Then a tiny ant cleared her throat. "You need to see the starman on the hill," she said. Much to my surprise, everyone agreed. "Just climb to the top of the highest peak of the tallest mountain, and there he will be." I said goodbye and left at once. As I climbed higher, the night grew darker. I had never seen so many stars or moons in all my life. Finally, I neared an observatory on top, and my heart began to pound. After a search, I found the starman on the roof. "I've been waiting for you," he said, without even turning around. "You have?" I asked. "Yeah. Aren't you the pizza man?" he asked. "No, I'm just trying to get home," I said. "I hoped that you could direct me back to Earth," I said. "I'm afraid I can't even find the pizza place," the starman said. "That's why I have it delivered. But please join me. It will be here soon." The sky was as big as it was beautiful. I wondered how I would ever find the Earth in such a large place. It all made me feel sleepy. Then I remembered how to get home. It was so obvious. I didn't know how I didn't think of it sooner. The gateway that brought me here was the same one that would take me home. The pizza came, and I had 3 slices, and then I said goodbye. I closed my eyes, and when I woke up, I was home. The end. The next book I'm going to read is called Listen to Our World by Bill Martin Jr. and Michael Sampson. In the morning, Mommy gives us wake-up kisses and says, "Good morning, little one. Can you hear the sounds of our world?" Around the giant kapok tree, bright parrots flit and fly. The rainforest is their world. Near the tall cactus, Gila monsters crawl. The desert is their world. High above the mountain peaks, eagles soar. The wilderness is their world. In the dense canopy, monkeys swing on vines. The jungle is their world. In the green undergrowth, baby pandas chew on sprouts. The bamboo forest is their world. In the oozy swamp, crocodiles glide through the algae. The marshland is their world. In the grassy savanna, kangaroos hop, hop. The outback is their world. On a rolling plain, lions pounce. The savanna is their world. On a freezing glacier, black and white penguins waddle. The South Pole is their world. In the refreshing oasis, elephants find cool water. The grassland is their world. In the blue sea, whales swim through the waves. The ocean is their world. At night, Mommy gives us good night kisses and says, "Sweet dreams, my little ones. All is well in our world." And I really like this book because at the end, it has facts about the animals. So every animal that's talked about in this book, it tells you a little bit about them if you want to learn more about those animals. And the last book I'm going to read to you today is called Cindy Moo by Lori Mortensen. Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. The cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Over at the Diddle farm, a little bit past 8, the cows heard a nursery rhyme that caused a great debate. Diddle cows stood in the barn and listened to each word about the cow that jumped the moon, amazed at what they had heard. "Across the moon!" cried Buttercup. "No way," said Honeybun. "The moon's too high and much too far. It simply can't be done." And as the cows scoffed at the thought, a voice rose loud and true. "Why can't a cow jump over the moon?" That voice was Cindy Moo. The cows began to argue. Each took a different side. But in the end, they all confessed that none of them had tried. So Cindy Moo raised up a hoof and said that it was true. If that cow could jump the moon, by golly, I can too. As Cindy Moo waltzed to the field, the others gathered round. She jumped the moon with room to spare in one grand bovine bound. She pawed her hoofs, she shook her head, she ran and picked up speed, and with a mighty moo, she jumped across a prickly weed. "Told you so," said Honeybun. "Too bad," said Buttercup. "Cows weren't meant to jump the moon. Why don't you just give up?" But Cindy Moo ignored her friends. She'd made a solemn vow. She'd jump across the silver moon as soon as she knew how. The next night after grazing, she caught a stunning sight. The moon was perched upon a hill, a ball of silver light. Cindy Moo let out a snort and charged up to the top. But when she reached the grassy peak, she skidded to a stop. Instead of staying on the hill, much to her surprise, the moon flew off the grassy ridge, back up to the star-filled skies. Cindy Moo plopped on the ground. Would it be for naught? "Jumping to the moon," she said, "is harder than I thought." Back inside the barn that night, the worst of all came true. Rain clouds swept the moon away. Now what was she to do? She couldn't jump what wasn't there. Perhaps the herd was right. The moon and cows would never mix, not then or any night. But late that night, when raindrops stopped, she peeked outside and found the moon had slipped down to the earth upon the rain-soaked ground. Cindy Moo kicked up her heels and raced with all her might, and with a happy moo, she jumped across the moon that night. Her friends came out and marveled much. "Miss Moo, you've done it now. A cow can really jump the moon as long as she knows how." And ever since that rainy night, the cows do not debate. Whenever rain clouds pass their way and it is growing late, they gaze upon that puddled moon and jump it 2 by 2. And guess who leads the diddle herd? Of course, it's Cindy Moo. The end. So the books I read today were called My Colds Went on Vacation Uni the Unicorn and the Dream Come True, Duck Gets a Job, Another Day in the Milky Way, Listen to Our World, and Cindy Moo. All of the books that I read today are available at the Farmington Public Library. We also have many, many, many other stories that you can check out and read. To find out about our upcoming events, please visit our website at www.infoway.org and select our events calendar. Have a great day!
This has been Cuentos Hahne and Tales, presented by the Farmington Public Library and KSJE 90.9 FM.